Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about 3 amazing indie horror books to give you a September to dismember. But stupid jokes aside, all 3 of these books are excellent, and even though technically one isn't coming out until early next month, I'm going to kind of sneak it in and count it anyway. 2 of these are going to be pre-orders, and you'll definitely want to do that. One of them you can purchase right now, and all of these are bangers. You will not be disappointed. And I also want to remind you that I have books for sale, and all my horror books that you see on the screen are only $1 each. There's a link down below if you want to do that. All right, let's get started. So the first exciting book I want to talk about today is called Daughter's Drawings by Nick Botic. This is a psychological horror that is going to terrify you, especially if you're a parent. If you are a parent, you might never want to leave your house again after reading this book. I have no kids, and yet I found myself thinking, oh man, I never want to go on a road trip again. This book is so creepy, so dreadful. It'll really sink into your head and not let go. Trust me on that. And basically this is about a family. You got a husband and the wife, you got a little son, and then you got a 6-year-old daughter. And the 6-year-old daughter, she likes to draw. She has what she calls her portfolio. Everything she draws, she puts into there and takes it with her wherever she goes. She's obsessed with drawing. Her mother's an artist, and she's really good and kind of advanced for her age. She puts little details in her pictures that a lot of people would miss. One day they're on a road trip. They decide to stop at a small little town off the highway at a diner to get something to eat. When they come out of the diner, they realize their car has been broken into. But whoever did it didn't take anything expensive. They left all their electronics, they left all their cash in the car, but the only thing this person did take was the drawings of this family's daughter. And that's strange at first, but they don't know why. But we are going to find out why, because this book takes place over the course of years. And it's a slow, torturous psychological horror, because eventually their daughter's drawings come back to them in envelopes, sometimes sitting in the middle of their room while they were sleeping, meaning who's ever done this has not only stalking them, but specifically their 6-year-old daughter, but has also been inside their home, inside their hotel rooms, even at one point their vacation home in a cabin in the mountains. Something's going to happen out there that's completely horrific. And with these accompanying these drawings, whoever has done this has made little alterations to them, leaving little creepy, cryptic messages, and his intentions are clear. Whoever this is obsessed with their daughter, obsessed with her drawings, and he kind of makes it clear that he doesn't just want their drawings, he wants their daughter as well. And like I said, this takes place over several years. They have detectives working on the case, but of course there's no fingerprints, there's no DNA, no telling where this guy is, who he is, what exactly happened. And it starts unraveling this family's mind. They start becoming cautious to the point of, some people would say, paranoid. But when it's your family at risk, of course, you're gonna be like that. And we will find out exactly who it was that perpetrated this, and maybe the reasons why they did it. But during the course of this story, even when they go months without anything happening, all of a sudden something else will happen, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The message becomes even more clear and more clear that they can't go anywhere, they can't move, they can't do anything without knowing that they are being watched all the time by this person or persons who are obsessed and want to take their daughter. And it's that kind of nightmare that this book builds, and it is excellent. Like I said, it will leave you with a feeling of dread. You definitely won't feel the same way about parenthood again after you read this. It is that creepy and that good. There is a link down below where you can purchase your copy, and yes, I highly, highly recommend it. And next we have String Them Up by William Sterling. This is from Crystal Lake Publishing. This is coming out later this month. And if you can tell by the cover, you know it features one of my favorite, most frightening, most one of those tropes that will always freak me out, not just in a book but in real life. Dolls, mannequins, dummies, ventriloquist dummies, you name it, things like that that are made out of plastic that look lifelike with their dead eyes. I don't know, that freaks me out. And so of course I knew this book was going to be for me, and it did not disappoint. Of course, you know, you're going to have a lot of dolls, you're going to have a lot of mannequins, you're going to have all those things. And when they come to life, and they will, and they're going to go on a citywide killing spree that is just horrific. But the reason for that is the main part of this story, because there's a sheriff, there's this police officer. He decides he wants to leave the big city. He's going to come work in this small town under his friend, who he has known for a long time. His friend is the sheriff there, and he is going to be the sheriff's deputy. And he's going to find out that these small towns hold many, many secrets, from really shady politicians and business owners in the town. There's a family there that owns a peacock farm. They breed and raise peacocks, and peacocks are going to become a kind of an integral part of this story later on. So you don't want to miss that. And then there's the Rochester house, which is a house owned by a man who used to own the toy store in town. And now he's in the woods, kind of outside of town, in this old big house by himself. And his yard and the front of his entrance to get to his house, and then his yard, and then inside of his house is filled with nothing but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dolls and mannequins and things like that. And they're all positioned so it looks like they're being human, you know, around little plates and in front of the TV, and like at the dinner table, like they just finished a meal. And some things are going to happen that are going to lead the police to this house to arrest this man for something. And they're going to find a strange book in there. It looks like it's filled with a lot of language they don't understand, and some drawings that kind of give them pause. And of course, it's a spell book. And by the end of the book, we're going to find out exactly what happened. But this is about these dolls and these mannequins and coming back to life to take revenge, kind of, on something that happened to this man a long time ago. And it gets freaky, it gets creepy, it gets bloody, it gets, horrific murders start taking place, and people are strung up with their intestines hanging out, being used like puppet strings as their bodies are just hanging there. It's gross, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love this book, and if you, like me, get freaked out easily by those kind of things, definitely one you want to read, but you probably want to do it with the lights on. That's all I'm saying. And you can pre-order that one at the link in the description. I highly recommend it. And next we have Clayboy by Craig Sawyer. This is an excellent mix of, it's bloody and brutal, but it also does have that psychological horror element into it. This is about a boy who makes a tulpa, T-U-L-P-A. And this boy, Caleb, when he was just a year old, he watched his mother get slaughtered by a serial killer in the woods. They left him alive, but the serial killer has never been caught. And he went to live with his aunt and uncle. His uncle is a hellfire and brimstone preacher, considers himself a prophet, has his own church, very, very strict and demanding. Caleb has a stutter, and combining all these things together, he is emotionally and socially very much awkward. He has no friends, and he gets bullied incessantly at school. And they call him Clay Boy because it's a form of therapy for him to deal with his feelings is always have a piece of clay with him at all times. And when he gets too stressed out or too fearful of something, he'll start making little shapes out of the clay. He's very good at it because he does it, almost obsessively, because he's always got these fears and anger inside of him that he doesn't know how to express. And one day he sees a video on YouTube, a partial video, that tells him about this thing called a tulpa. A tulpa is basically an imaginary friend that eventually will develop its own personality and actually come to life and be the friend of whoever created it. He thinks this is cool, so he kind of follows the instructions for part of the video he saw. He didn't see the warning at the end though, and that's gonna come into play. And he decides to make his own tulpa. And it works, and pretty soon this tulpa promises to protect him against any and all harm, and he does so in bloody, brutal ways. He kind of possesses Caleb and uses him, even though Caleb don't remember doing any of these horrible things. He just remembers blacking out and then seeing all this chaos and bloodshed that has happened. But yeah, and then it gets even worse from there once the tulpa talks Caleb into making him a clay body from the clay from a river and mixing his own blood with it, kind of making a golem type creature. And now that this thing has a body, a mind of its own, and is bloodthirsty intent, nobody is going to be safe, and there is going to be a lot of blood. Trust me on that. But this is an excellent, excellent story. It's a shorter supernatural story. I believe it's a little bit less than 200 pages. So it's quick, it's easy to read, you'll get right through it. But the scenes in there are very memorable. You will remember this story because it's something unique, something you don't hear about a lot. And yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. This is just a great story. And it's one that you'll definitely want to pre-order. There is a link down below where you can do that. All right, so there you have 3 awesome horror books to give you a September to remember. Hopefully you pick all 3 of these up because they're all worthy of your attention. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.